Superstore 3000. This is a game in which players will compete to build a crazy looking mall in the future. It's a very simple tile-laying game. Basically, each turn you choose to either collect money or to build something. And so because of the simplicity of the rules, this is definitely a good family game. I played it with my kids, not that they're babies anymore, they are 12 and 14, but I know I could have played it even earlier with them. And anything again, both because of the simplicity of the rules and also the fun, playful components and art, definitely this would work well as a family game. So, in a turn, you will collect money or build something. To collect money is pretty simple. You start with 3 future dollars or space dollars, and to acquire more, you will look at this display of tiles here. This is the supply of tiles that you will use to build, but however, they can also be used as money. And once they become money, they never go back to the potential shops or areas of your mall. They will be placed in this display in 2 columns from a supply that you will create, and the number of tiles that you put there depends on the number of players. And if you need to collect money, you will choose one of the 2 tiles that is at the bottom, so either this one or this one right now, and you take it and you flip it and it becomes money. You also collect money from the bank, extra money, equal to the number of tiles of the same type in the same column. For example, this is green tile and there are 2 more here. Then, if there is money in the bank, I will collect 2 more space bucks or future bucks because of that. If I was to collect this one, then that's the only one I will collect because that's the only blue in that column. And that's how money works. The idea that there may not be enough money in the bank really only applies early in the game. Later, we never had any problem seeing that there is money in the bank. So, that's how you collect money, or you build something. The things you're going to build most often is these stores here, using these tiles, so building stores in your mall or entrances. If you see a tile with 2 icons, that is an entrance, and they can be at any floor. I guess people just fly in. Otherwise, we have 3 types of stores, so one for food, let's see, one for hobbies, and one for for fashion. At least that's how I conceptualize the things. If you're gonna build one of the tiles at the bottom of the display, it's gonna be for free. There is a little 0 token there to indicate that you just collect and you build it for free. These 2 cost $1, $2, $3 as indicated there. Pretty simple. So, suppose that I decide to build something. I spend $2 and I want to build that. Now, everybody, and then of course we slide this down. We slide this down and we place another one. My only complaint about the production is that these little notches here, I think they wanted to, they place them to help people pick up those tiles, but then sometimes as you slide them down, they get stuck. But that's a really tiny nitpick there. Each player starts their mall with a large entrance that has 3 possible customers in there. And you have these fun acrylic customers here that will go in your shops. Different art for each of them, but also they're all equivalent. And so I everybody starts with a tile with 3 entrances, and as you can see there are symbols here. They represent the kind of store that each customer wants to go to. So I take my starting tile, I place 3 customers there. There we go. 3 customers there, and that's where they want to go. Each player will also have a ruler, such as this one, that you will place next to your building. It doesn't restrict the creation or expansion of your building in any way. You can build in any direction, you can move it. It's just a way for you to quickly see what level things are. There may be things later that are level 9, level 10. That's very useful to be able to check that at a glance without counting every time. So I got my my starting thing, and I just bought this building from the supply, remember? And I need to place it on top of something. It's the future, but it can't just float in midair. And the starting tile will take up to 2 tiles that can go on top of it, as you can see. Now, when I place a tile, if I have customers on an entrance in my building, I check to see if they can reach their desired location. They can move up to 3 tiles, away. So actually, this is the situation I just placed. If I just place that tile there, I have a customer right there who wants to go to that place. See the matching symbol? And so after I place that tile there, I move this customer 1, 2, 3. And I lay the customer down there to indicate that that now is a satisfied customer. Of course, that would have worked also in the initial configuration that I showed you, because that is still within 3 tiles, like that. Boom. So that's pretty much when you build, for building regular tiles like this. You will buy it, place it on top of something, and then check to see if you have customers that are happy. And so, for example, later I may add an entrance, and I do that right now. That entrance has 2 customers, and one of these customers can become a happy, satisfied customer right away. I could put it there, I can even put it there. You know what, I'm gonna put this customer here because reasons. Because maybe later there'll be customers that I'll put on top here, and that's easier for them to reach those stores there. And suppose after a while I also built this one. Isn't that nice? Now, most of what you build, again, is gonna be these kind of stores. There are other things that you can build. One is extra landing docks, baying docks, docking bays, I don't remember how they're called, but they're these 2 kind of tiles. One, you can build when you have 1 per type, so blue, green, red, and yellow. And I do have that, so for my turn, as my build, I could build one of these. Now, these I can build on the side, extending the width of my building. Each is worth 2 victory points, with exception of one that is worth 3, but the ones that are worth 2 are also worth 1 victory point per customer, per happy customer of a specific type that I put on top of that one. Oh, I just realized that customer also wants to go there, so good for you, customer. So maybe later I'm able to place a happy customer here, and then at the end of the game, that happy customer will be worth 1 victory point, because this tile gives me 1 victory point per customer in a yellow business right on top of that. When I have 2 per type of each kind of business and 2 entrances, then I can build this other baying dock or docking bay. I don't remember somehow. And what do they do? Well, one of them is worth 3 victory points, the other one is worth 2 victory points, plus it gives me a very flexible customer who, instead of going to a specific shop, like really specifically looking for bags or ice creams or burgers, just wants to go to a general type. For example, this customer would be satisfied with any kind of yellow business that they can reach, and if I later build that one, then they're just satisfied, happy customers like that. So I can build regular stores, I can build these bays here. Each player starts also with a tile, exactly like this one. However, what is different is the conditions that you need to fulfill to build it, and each player will have a different card. For example, if that's what I received at the beginning of the game, I'll be able to build this tile here if I have a happy customer at level 6 or higher. Here, if I have a list of business level 8 or higher, these 3 kinds of businesses level 5 or higher, that sort of thing. So suppose that I fulfill the requirement, now I can build that. As you can see, there are connectors here that tell me what that can be connected to. I, for example, could place it right there, or even like this, but I'll place it like here because it looks a little weirder, and I like that. Now, at the end of the game, you will want to have, actually better this way. You will want to have areas of stores of the same color adjacent to one another. And these connectors here have the advantage that they don't interrupt areas of the same color. So for example, right now I have an area of yellow, of 4 yellow tiles. 1, 2, 3, see the connector? 4, that is connected. Also, this one is connected with that one, so I have an area of 2 red tiles. Oh wait, the red tiles don't score that way. It's okay. You still get the concept of things being connected through those tiles. There's one more thing that you can build, which are these large, crazy shapes here. Really fun looking. From the giant slide to the giant aquarium. Where's the indoor tornado? Somewhere we have the kaiju arena. The kaiju arena. Who would not want to visit that? Each has a card indicating what needs to be produced, what you need to have to build it. And with the exception of one, every card has 2 different conditions. So you're going to have a lot of variety there in what you need. For example, if we put this side up during setup, then we need 3 happy customers for these 3 kinds of businesses, or 4 for each of these 4 kinds of businesses. When you have all the corresponding things and it's your turn, then you announce that you're spending your action for the turn to build, and you show that you have all the requirements and you build the thing. The only other restriction is that it has to actually fit. And sometimes it's easy and obvious, sometimes it ain't. And so, for example, boom, that would be, if I have all the requirements, that's how your mall may start looking after a while. I'm just doing some crazy stuff here, probably legal. In terms of the game, I'm not going to break the law. But boom. So, during your turn, take some money or build a store from the display, or build your personal tile if you meet the unique requirements, or build one of these bays here if you meet the requirements, or build one of the major attractions. You continue like this until either the last tile from the supply has been placed on the display there, or all of the large attractions for the game have been built. And of course that changes. So those are the 2 things that may trigger the end of the game. One of the 2 things happens, you play until everybody is at the same number of turns, and then you score points. You score all the points that are printed on your board. That is worth 8, that is worth 8, this one's worth 2, plus remember satisfied customers of a certain kind on top. And then we look at majority. And we have these balloons here, always 4 categories, but the number of scoring tiles available per category depends on the number of players. With 2 players, you only have 1 per. One player gets it and the other one doesn't. This tile goes, or this category of tiles goes to the player with the most happy customers. If there's a tie, whoever has the highest customer. This goes to the player who has the most blue tiles adjacent to one another, the most yellow tiles adjacent to one another. Hey, that's why my 4 tiles, they are really nice. The player who has the most green tiles adjacent to one another. More specifically, the single largest area of adjacent tiles. And that's how it works. Score points on all of these sources, play with the highest score, wins the game. This is a simple, nice game. Again, you could play with young players, and sometimes and somehow explaining it make it sound harder than it is, just because the action of building has several different variants. But you could just teach the game by saying, hey, we're going to play a couple of turns in which you just build the regular shops and try to start building them so that you have large areas. And then you introduce the other combos that will allow you to build your personal tile that creates those nice connections. Because otherwise, as you're going up and you only have 2 columns based on your starting tile, of course, it's going to be hard to have 3 large areas. and sometimes you may get stuck with a certain piece because you want to get something without paying too much. With those connectors, now you can expand and you can have areas that go in different directions. The large attractions are really fun to build, and they are also very valuable in terms of victory points. That means there's going to be a lot of competition for those. And this game has an interesting balance between being somewhat cutthroat and yet also somewhat peaceful, I guess. There's this idea that we have seen so many times in modern gaming that games are increasing in multiplayer solo because I do my thing, I do my puzzle, you do your puzzle, and then we compare. Yay! But in this game, every single scoring thing that you do is relative to what somebody else is doing. Everything is limited supplies. I get to score the majority if you don't. I get to build the large tile and then you don't. And so you're going to take a good look at the people's malls because that is super important. I don't need to increase my largest yellow area right now because no one is even close. Ooh, but I'm 2 tiles behind in blue or green. Maybe I can invest in those. Ooh, but if I do this, I get a good chance of getting that sweet 8-point ginormous tile, but I see that the player is also close, so should I prioritize that? So there is a lot of that indirect competition, which is somehow a little more direct than in a lot of other games. It is definitely not a multiplayer solo, though it may look that way, because you never actively interact, mess up with other people's constructions, but you take away resources and opportunities and majorities. So it's definitely competitive, but not too bad. So if you're looking for something that, again, you can play with young kids, but it's not, I don't think they should flip the table too bad. I don't think they're going to burst into tears. Something simple for game night with your adult friends. Maybe it's the second game of the night because, again, with adult and regular players, you're going to teach them play pretty quickly. But it may have that interesting intensity there. Yeah, I would say it's a game with a certain intensity behind. But yeah, it looks pretty nice, pretty playful. And the puzzle is very neat because you start very constricted and you're creating some combos that will open up things a little bit. Now you can create better combos. There's a really nice trade-off, like, well, I need some money, but right now the display would only allow me to get a single dollar. If I wait next turn, maybe there's a line of 3 of the same, so the single action pays off better. But I also don't want to get stuck with this tile that I picked up and have to build now that may ruin some of my things. So the puzzle that has to do with the resources and the different visual combinations that you're creating to be able to build larger tiles, to be able to build the docks, to be able to score points. Makes for a nice, interesting game, which still moves easily. Analysis paralysis is not going to be a problem because the choices are interesting, but they're not too many. The economy is somewhat forgiving. Oh my gosh, I need a blue tile and somebody took it. There will be another one sooner or later. Maybe too late for me to win, but I don't get the feeling that missing a single time completely kicks me out of the game. So for all these reasons, I find Superstore 3000 a clever, fun, light game. I like tile laying. The theme is fun. It's a game I can play with my family, so I love the good things about this game.